Hey guys, before we jump in, I have a quick disclaimer. If you're looking for video this week, surprise, there isn't one. In an annoying but honestly very on brand for me turn of events, I accidentally sent our freshly recorded podcast video to the great beyond approximately 5 minutes after exporting it. So that was really fun. But we do still have the audio, so it's not the end of the world. Our conversation was too good not to share, and honestly, this feels a little old school Wesley Weighs In anyways. So let's get into it.
What's up, guys? I'm Wesley.
And I am Bailey.
And this is the Wesley Weighs In podcast. Back at you.
Woohoo!
So let's jump right into it. Bailey just got back a few days ago from Masters International.
Whoa!
Yeah, she killed it. Went out there, got double gold, fought a ton of really hard matches for her division.
No.
Actual division. She had like
really
18
hard.
fights.
Yeah.
All by submission in the first minute. It was really impressive. It was so fast, you'd almost say nobody was in the division.
Yeah, it was almost like it never even happened.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so there wasn't anybody in my division, which, I don't know, almost stressed me out a few times, thinking that I flew all the way to California, knowing there was nobody in my division, and so the open class was my only shot, and so yeah, that made me a little nervous, but... yeah, it went really well. I won the open class.
Mm-hmm.
Yay
Awesome.
me!
Woo!
And I got a default gold medal because there was nobody
Yeah.
in my division. That one doesn't count. But it was also, I didn't realize till afterwards, that's actually my first gold medal in an open division too. I fought the open several times. I've podiumed in the open division several times. But yeah, that was my first gold medal. So I was really proud of myself.
So a few weeks earlier, she fought, or maybe I don't know how many weeks earlier, it was 2 or 3.
It really
something like
was,
that.
yeah, just maybe 3
She
weeks
fought
ago.
in San Antonio, and nobody in the division then, right?
No, it was same thing. Nobody in my division.
She fought the open class division,
Yep.
and ran into a reaction right off the bat that she'd never faced before. Really threw her off. She panicked, kind of lost her the whole match. It set with her very poorly. She didn't like the way it felt. Didn't like going out like that. You know, not many tournaments leading up to Worlds from this point on. And she made it a point to beg me to death to let her go. And
Yeah, well,
eventually I caved. And so point being, she went all the way to Cali by herself, without me, without any coaches, nobody really there. And you know, she found some friends whenever we got there, or when she got there. But nobody coaching her in her matches, and pulled off 3 solid wins. So super awesome.
yeah, as far as like the San Antonio thing, what led to it, I don't know, Wesley, when I lose, Wesley's always very supportive, which is nice, but he always wants to talk to me about it, and he wants to know how I'm feeling. And sometimes I don't really know how I'm feeling yet. I need to just sit with it. I'm like, I'm obviously disappointed. Sometimes I'm not super disappointed. Sometimes I'm like, man, I didn't win that, but like, I'm really proud of certain little things that I did. But that one, he kept asking me, how are you feeling? And I was like, I don't know how I feel. It took me probably until the next day to just like sit with it for a minute. And, once I decided how I decided that I felt, annoyed and disappointed with myself because, like he said, I just right at the beginning, I just panicked. I just freaked out. I think I've been so focused on trying to develop my guard and to play guard more in tournaments that I make it so much of a focus that like, oh, I need to get in there, I need to pull. And so I think that's screwing me up. I've had like half of my pulls be very, very bad pulls because I just kind of like panic and I panic pull. And that's exactly what I did. She like, the girl I fought, you know, tied up with me really well, and she was like going for an overhook, and she was like pushing on me really hard, and I was like, ah! And then I just pulled.
Like pushing on you, you're like underselling it. She was like running her out of bounds.
Yes, she
And
literally
honestly,
came at me.
Honestly, should have just let her push you out of bounds. I would have got reset with 0 grips, and
That's
you know,
true.
but,
Hindsight,
yeah,
you know.
hindsight and learn some things. So.
But instead, I panicked and I panic pulled, and I ended up in bottom half, which is my sarcastically favorite place to land. And I basically spent the whole match fighting out of that. I would get out, and then we'd land back in it again, and it was just back and forth the whole time. And she took my back like in the last like 15 seconds, something like that. And I mean, just for a few seconds, but long enough to get her points. So I was just annoyed that number one, I just panicked and put myself in a bad spot. It's like, man, I've been working all this stuff, and like I didn't even get an opportunity to show it or do anything that I've been working on. Like I didn't show any of my actual jujitsu at all. And so, yeah, Wesley had mentioned just kind of in passing, oh, wouldn't it be cool to go to Master International? And I just took that and ran with it and convinced him to let me go, which after he said yes and I booked everything, I got a little sad because I don't mind traveling by myself. I actually kind of have always liked traveling by myself, like for work and stuff, but I've never traveled by myself for jujitsu. And so I usually have someone there with me, someone there to coach me, whatever. So flying all the way to California and going into an open class division with nobody there to support me or coach me or whatever was a little nerve-wracking, but I'm glad I did it. I'm proud of myself. My main goal was don't freak out. We're not going to freak out today. We're not going to panic pull. We're going to stay in there. If we have to stand for a minute before we get to a good place where we feel good to pull, we're going to stand for a minute. Actually got some takedown points throughout the event. So yeah, I did what I went there to do, which is great.
Yep, it was a great experience, and even got to get some acai, and
I did.
I got an awesome souvenir. I'm not wearing it right now, but she got me an awesome World's hat. It's like one of a kind.
Oh my gosh, can I say I'm so annoyed about this because so Kings every year, which I think is safe to say that's Wesley's favorite, at least one of his favorite brands, and in the jiu-jitsu world. And I guess every year since like 2022 or something, they put out a special designed hat for Worlds that you can only buy at Worlds. And so it's kind of like a cool little souvenir thing. And they do a certain number of them. And once they're gone, they're gone. And so I was looking there because Wesley was like, you should bring me a souvenir. And so I saw this hat and I was like, that's a pretty cool hat. And it says Worlds and all this stuff. And I thought, I bet you that's just like that's the Worlds hat. So I go to buy it and I'm like, yeah, do y'all sell these anywhere else? Or is this like, and they're like, no, I mean, I think we have like 100 of them this year. And, when they're gone, they're gone. We expect they're going to sell out. And I'm like, awesome. I'm like patting myself on the back that I got you like the most legit World souvenir. And then I get home, I give it to him, and literally that night I'm sitting in bed and I get an email from Kings because I'm on their email list. And it's like, new this year for the first time, we're going to make the World's hat that you can only buy at Worlds available to everyone.
Yeah.
And so, granted, I think it ends today. It was just like while Worlds was going on, if you put in an order over $200 or something, you would get a free Worlds hat, which I mean is cool for everybody else. But I was like, dang, that was the whole point, is that I was really excited. It was something you could only get exclusive at Worlds. But
well, at least
still cool.
At least it's limited. I'm thinking like,
oh yeah,
every year I should get a really cool limited edition hat, and then we should, instead of wearing them and destroying them, display them. Each year would be really cool.
Yeah, it's a really cool hat too. Kings really nailed it.
Really cool. It's like a
design.
baseball World Series hat, is what it looks like.
Yeah, it's really neat.
Super cool.
It's got the pyramid on it, and yeah, it's really cool. So yeah, that was Master International. It was the Masters event on Wednesday, right before Adult Worlds. So all the Masters fought on Wednesday, and then Adult Worlds was Thursday through today. So I didn't stay for any of that. I had to get back home. But yeah.
Yeah, that is awesome. And then, so yesterday, we helped ref Kumite, that was a fundraiser at a friend's gym. And that that was a lot of fun. It was the first time we've refed where there's going to be outside a big number of outside people coming in to compete. We've refed at our own gym where it's just like an in-house, just people who train there, fight each other. But it was definitely interesting. Had some very interesting takeaways. I liked it a lot. I felt there's a couple calls that maybe I were questionable, at least probably missed one or two, but it didn't change the way of any fight the way it should have went. But that was a lot of fun. It was long. We got there like 8 o'clock in the morning, 7:45, something like that, and then we didn't leave till like 4:30 or something like that, right in the
It
afternoon.
was a long day. No break, just
hot in
constant
there.
ref.
Four mats essentially, with like over 200 competitors.
Yeah, we
but
went
we're
through
doing
like 100+ brackets. It was wild.
It was like kids divisions and then white and blue belts, adults, and so that was really cool. But the fundraiser is for a really cool cause. It's for the a group of about, I mean, how many kids? You remember how many kids?
Honestly, I don't know.
I don't remember. I've seen the number. I don't remember. But our girls are part of it, and several from our friend's gym. It's a fundraiser to get them all to kid pans. So, which is in July, and it did a really good job of that. It pretty much paid for a giant portion of the trip, with the exception of like 4 plane tickets. So that was awesome.
Yeah,
but
so it was great.
but yeah, some of the things I wanted to get into about that were it was really interesting seeing, like, I can't tell you how many times I saw the same meta, like the same technique, the same everything, from the same successes and the same mistakes, just like round after round after round. I saw this is white belt division and like early grays for the most part, because it was supposed to be a tournament more for like new competitors, stuff like that.
Yeah, it was advertised as like if you're newer to competing, or it's a good first tournament for people, because obviously it's like a small local, like in-house tournament, but open to other gyms. So it's not like these are IBJJF, high level events or anything, but a great, like, we had some from our gym too who are brand new competitors. That I would say it was a really, really good event for some kids like that.
So, but the thing I saw over and over again from the white belts is like some type of, it's called Haraigoshi, or like a headlock throw, and they fall on the ground and they're hugging the head, and then they do Americana with their legs, and the bottom fighter never knows how to find the underhook, come up to their knees, and like kill that.
I saw that. So I did see that a lot of head hugging, and I'm like, oh, like people not recognizing the power of an underhook.
Yeah, just not understanding or knowing. Yeah, that was like the most common thing I feel like that I saw.
My mat was wild. We had head gashed open. I mean, there was one match going on. It was so intense, and some of the coaches were like, "Whoa, these guys are intense." And at one point, they like rolled out of bounds, and I had to stop the match. And we go to come back in the middle, and I'm like, "You good?" And I look at this guy, and he goes, "I'm good." And he looks up, and blood just everywhere.
Yeah, I saw that exact moment.
It was, and I was like, you are not good.
I was actually starting a match, and we all looked over, and I said, "That guy bleeding."
He was bleeding.
I told the guys who were about to fight, "That guy bleeding."
It was insane. Yeah. It was like he had a full like eye gash, and I mean, it was like what you would see in boxing or something when somebody gets, and I mean, it was just streaming out his face. There was blood all over the mat. It was nightmarish.
Yeah. Let's talk about the complaints, right? So you're always going to get, I'm sure, complaining parents that don't know what they're talking about, or in this case, I felt like it was, he had to have been like a blue belt, just a little over the top about some stuff.
Which is so funny for this level. I always think about that with little things like this. It's like, it is not that serious, people. This is not world championships. This is not paying, like, it's not that serious, but some people get so worked up.
But he was, there was a kid that was, again, head hug. It was Case Katami holding the head, and gets the arm to hit the Americana with his legs, and I stopped it. The arm was completely it was gone. He wasn't doing anything to defend it. I stopped it. And I'd already stopped a couple like that. No arguments, no complaints. Trying to keep the kids safe. And the dad is like, "What are you doing? Why did you stop that? That's ridiculous." And what did he say? He said, "He'll tap. Oh, he knows to tap." I'm like, man, what if the kid rips it super hard and fast? Then you're going to be mad at the kid for
That's
ripping
a
it super
hard
hard
one
and
too,
fast.
because it's easy to rip it.
Yeah, well, I don't know what you mean by it. That's hard. That's not a hard one. I had no problem with stopping it when I did.
No.
I
I'm
don't know
not
what you
saying.
mean about hard one.
I don't mean hard. I mean that submission. I think it's good to stop it early, because when you're doing it with your legs, you crank it. It cranks really fast. I feel like that one hits really, really fast.
Right. So he complained to me about it. I said, "Look, man, they're gonna have to fight again. There's only 2 in the divisions, best 2 out of 3. They fought again, and this time, I didn't have to stop it because the kid tapped. It was the exact same submission, so he couldn't say anything, and he saw this kid tap. And I'm pretty sure I saw the kid's hand coming up in the previous one that I stopped it, and I felt that it was earlier in the second time when he actually tapped than the first time. And then later, another match was going on, and I stopped the submission at the exact same time. And I heard one of the parents talk, and they weren't upset about it or anything. They're like, they thought that was kind of a little late. So my point being is, like, one parent's eyes, it's way too late, or one parent's eyes, it's way too early. So I feel like I've been doing this, especially as a much experience I have coaching our kids and seeing our kids compete. I'm very, very familiar. I guarantee you 10 times more familiar than any of the parents, most of the parents that were there, at seeing how close a submission is. So I felt very confident with where I'm at. Plus, the only way to, like, the best way to protect a kid, and you're not always able to do this, is if or the kid has a reputation for ripping submissions really fast. You can be ready, like, they're going to rip it, so get in there and stop it fast, so that kid is not going to destroy some other kid, unnecessarily. It's a whole other podcast topic, but
right.
But yeah, that's kind of what I ran into. It was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I had one coach yell at me. And then I had one coach come, so I don't like stopping them super early. I'm normally like inches away from it, and I'm watching, and I'm right here, and I'm like, as soon as it's there, we're going to stop it. Or as soon I'm waiting for you to tap. I see you have a free hand. You're right here. I'm waiting for it, and we're going to stop it as soon as you decide to stop it, And so I stopped a couple of, like, arm bars, but there was a lot of stuff I didn't stop. I waited. I was just standing right there. I'm watching it super, super closely. But there was one where a coach came up to me after a match, and it was an Americana, but it's these 2 little girls, and same thing. I'm watching. The girl has a free hand. It's right here. She can tap as soon as she needs to. The other one's got the Americana, but it's not really cranked all the way. And she is not cranking it. Like, she's going very slow, almost to the point where I'm like, you're gonna have to go some more if you want the submission to hit. Like, we're not all the way there yet. So I'm waiting, and then finally the girl taps, and I'm like, okay, cool, and we stop it. And then a coach comes up, and he's like, you might want to stop some of those, like, Americanas faster, because I've seen a couple that I had to tap for my own kids on your mat. And I'm like, I hear you, but I'm literally like, I'm like inches away. I'm watching. I'm right there, But yeah, like you said, you just never know, because then you hear the opposite all the time. People mad because you stop stuff too quickly.
It's a fine line, but
it is.
There was a couple arm bars that, like, the average person probably doesn't know what they're looking at. But when I see an arm bar, they're going for an arm bar, and the arm is, like, they'll hold the arm, and they'll hold it, like, with the bend, and they'll just hold it like this. And they're not doing anything. But the other kid's still fighting. They're just sitting here holding the arm.
Yep.
But the arm's, like,
I did a lot of that
sideways. It's not straight like this at all. So I let it sit there for a moment with my hands super close. The second that I see any extension, it stops. I stop it. They don't even have to crank on it. If that gets extended and they can't have their hand to grab it, it's getting stopped. Now, it doesn't, like, before they even get pressure on the arm. But there was a couple matches where their arms sideways like this, and I let it go, and the kid was able to get his hand back and
Yep.
recover and escape. So,
I had a
and
whole
I would have
bunch
been
like that.
upset as a parent if I watched and know what I know. Like, there's plenty of opportunity to escape, but you stopped it just because the arm was a
Yep.
90-degree angle, and the kid was trying to do an arm bar but wasn't properly doing
Yep.
it. You know?
I had several where I was down on the ground looking, it was like belly down or whatever, but I'm like, I can either see a bend or I can see the elbow is past that, like they have their elbow free. Or I had a few where they had the arm, but like their arm was all the way bent in a way that I'm like, that's not actually cranking. And then as soon as they turned it the right way, I'm like, okay, we're good. But same thing. I'm like, I am watching super, super closely to make sure that they're not just, ripping their arm off. But I mean, when I'm on the floor, literally like looking down in this little cave of bodies trying to see what's happening with that arm, they can't see what's happening with the arm
Yeah.
either. You have to trust that they know what they're looking at,
Yeah. I did have one fight where a kid's arm hurt after the arm bar. But
Yeah.
I stopped it, and I still felt like I stopped it in enough time. He was fine right after, but
I had one or two where the kid cried, but I think it was stopped early enough, or they may have even tapped. I can't remember. I just remember thinking, I think they're more scared. The little kids, sometimes the whole thing scares them and they get upset.
I think the submission that I see the most, where kids don't want to tap, like they'll just sit on a rear naked choke till they're about to pass
Yes.
out, and then they like, it's even happened to Lennox. When she fought, Lennox is submitting her, and she's like waits to the last minute and then slaps her, bam, to tap. It's like, you waited that long,
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
yeah.
it was
So any
interesting.
other takeaways you had?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. It's hard to know. We did IBJJF rule set with no like penalties or submissions with no penalties or advantages. And there's a lot of IBJJF rules, so it's hard to know all of them. I think once I got into it, I always feel not qualified to ref. Once I get into it, I'm like, okay, it's not so bad, but there's always those little tiny rule sets to be aware of. So yeah, I mean, I didn't mind it. It was fun. I enjoyed watching the matches all day long. There was interesting stuff that was going on. I was nervous to ref the adult matches, but that was fun too. Yeah, I think it's just sometimes the pressure of making the right call. I had to make a couple that were like ref's decision calls that I was like, oh, they're gonna be so mad at me, and I'm a people pleaser, so I didn't like that very much. I'd like to think that will give me a little bit more grace for refs in the future, but I don't know. Maybe not. Like, I was sitting there multiple times thinking, I'm watching these matches very intently, and that's one thing I've gotten annoyed with refs about in the past, is looking up and they're like not even watching the match. They're like off in la la land, and we refed for 8 hours straight.
Yeah.
No breaks, no nothing, and hot. Like, I mean, it was not great conditions in that sense. We were hot and uncomfortable. We refed 8 hours straight, and I was 2 eyes on my match the entire time, focused. So I don't know. I probably won't have grace for refs doing that in the future. It's like you got one job, watch the two people fighting in front of you.
I had one match that somebody was like, they didn't understand why they lost, because the other guy had 2 points. He didn't understand where the 2 points came from. Well, the guy initiated a takedown, and then the other guy, like, to defend the takedown, wrapped a guillotine and accepted going down. But he kind of like, he decided to go down, but the first guy also initiated the takedown.
Right.
So I had waited till his head was pulled out. Once the head was pulled out, it was 2 points, and he had forgotten all about that. So he's like, "Oh yeah, that's right." So.
Yep. I had one where somebody asked me, they're like, "Why? Why did he win that one?" But I told them why, and they were like, "Okay," and they moved on. And I'm like, "Okay, I'm glad nobody's."
I just told him because I said so. I'm the ref.
I'm the ref. What I say goes, sir.
Yep. So speaking of reffing and tournaments, just finished Worlds this
Wesley's
this
been
day today.
glued to his phone like
Yeah.
this.
Well, I would have been glued to a TV
Since
if I wasn't drug around everywhere.
Thursday watching matches.
Yep. A lot of good matches. let's see here. We Tynan, I'll probably say that's probably one of the biggest stories. Just dominated everybody and ended up getting his 4th world title. I think his last match he finished in less than a minute. Like
Crazy.
it's just insane. Mia Finegra ended up losing in what was it, the
The quarters, I
quarterfinals?
think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is pretty.
She
and
did
then
lose to the girl who ended up winning the title.
Yep.
Which,
And then who else? We had Jose Stevie. He ended up getting bronze. I was expecting him to end up fighting Tynan, and it didn't happen. Cole ended up getting his first black belt gi world title, so that's
as
pretty
did
awesome.
Ashley Finegra.
Yep, yep.
And Natalie, and staying on the Vinegar sisters, Natalie won at purple and got promoted to brown. 6 months at purple, and then brown after winning an adult world title.
Let's see, who else? What else? Sarah Gaval, she did not win. Unfortunately for her, that was
Ref's decision.
Oh yeah, ref's decision. Yeah,
She lost on ref's decision, which, and that's interesting because you were also talking about Elizabeth Clay's finals match.
Yeah, I'll get to that in a second.
Okay. But yeah, it's just wild sometimes, the tiny, tiny margins that create a world champion, it's wild.
Yeah, and then speaking of Elizabeth Clay, she fought in the finals, and I can't remember the girl's name, I should, but she fought her, I believe it was at Pans, lost to her at Pans. That's the one that we fought at, and she had gotten an injury earlier, I think maybe against, I don't remember if it was against Sarah Gava. I don't remember. She had gotten an injury at Pans, and then later fought the same girl and lost to her. And then she decided to go out to Brazilian Nationals specifically to fight her, beat her. So they're 1-1. And then in the beginning of the finals match, Elizabeth, I've actually gotten the opportunity to roll with her before, and I've experienced how low she gets to the ground. It gets extremely, extremely low, makes it incredibly hard for you to like time with 2 points, and or set any type of like get to the guard pull before she does, like impossible. But I think one thing that can happen with that is you're so low, it's hard to tell if they had a grip or not, and maybe she didn't have a grip, but that's what happened. She pulled from a super low stance. The match went on for a few seconds, and then they stopped, stood him back up, gave her a penalty for not having a grip when she pulled guard. The match went on 0-0 all the way to the entire fight. She was trying to attack Kayotera footlock at the very end. Wasn't enough to get an advantage on it, and ended up losing. It was like a pretty 50, it was like a stalemated fight. Like, I would have said that if that penalty hadn't happened, the Kayotera footlock was the closest thing to happen. So that would have probably won her the match. But literally, just because she didn't have a grip when she pulled, lost the match. So.
Man, again, like I said, small margins, the tiniest little mistakes or good decisions can make or break.
Yeah, and then let's not forget, last but not least, Diego Pato. It was his fifth, right? Make sure I'm getting that right. Yeah, his 5th world title. First male gi black belt champion to ever do that. So that was incredible. And then not only that, the bigger story is he laid down his black belt and retired from gi competition. So, and then that was definitely pretty wild. And later on, in the end, when Tynan fought, he tricked everybody and made him think that he was retiring. That was funny. But yeah, it's kind of like just a quick Worlds recap. The matches were pretty incredible. They were always extreme. I take a lot of screen recordings to like study and kind of drill and practice and run through some of the things I saw. So I saw a lot of really interesting strategies and defenses and attacks. So that was good.
Yeah.
Any impressions from you? How much did you watch?
I've watched some, and I've watched the highlights, and yeah, I know what's up.
She got her cat nap in while I was watching some of them today.
I did get a nap in earlier today. That's actually why I look like a bum, and Wesley is all dressed. Believe it or not, this morning I looked really cute. I put on some clothes and makeup.
Put on clothes, guys.
We went to church.
That's what she does when she goes out. She puts on clothes.
I put on like an outfit though,
Mm,
you know?
yeah.
Like I always wear clothes, but I put on like an outfit.
She
And
put on the
I felt
outfit
cute.
that she wears whenever I take her out for a nice dinner, like McDonald's. That's the outfit that she wore. Her
But then I
McDonald's
came
outfit.
home and I was like, I don't want to wear jeans anymore and I don't want my shirt to get wrinkled. And so I changed and then I fell asleep and then I woke up and then I never put on real clothes again. And what this is what Wesley's been wearing all day.
Yeah.
So
Well, I just naturally wake up looking G'd up from the feet up.
I
so.
just naturally wake up looking like a bum and I just stay that way most of the time. So it's fine.
That's what I married you for. The bum.
It's my natural beauty.
Yeah.
I don't need all of that.
Yeah,
you know?
no, that's right. You're not worldly and materialistic.
Yeah,
Flat love.
exactly. I don't need any of that. I wake up. I woke up like this. You know?
All right, moving on. So, with the world's recap and all the competition talk, I felt like
And me winning Master International.
the most important thing right there.
It is.
That's right. Let's a quick little side comment that I thought was funny. It's funny because whenever you
Because I said it.
no, when you win a title or when you win something big like this, a lot of the gyms you go to, they end up announcing to everybody, and kind of put you on a little bit of a pedestal, and it's kind of weird.
Nice.
It's nice.
It's weird. Yeah.
It's
I know.
nice, but like you don't feel like it gets made out to feel, but maybe that's imposter syndrome a little bit, but it's definitely it's interesting when that happens. But what was a funny thing that happened at the Kumite, Bailey's like tells Kyle, I'm gonna go to the restroom real quick, I'll be right back, I have time to go to the restroom, right? And so yeah, she goes to the restroom, and then he's like introducing kind of the refs and the experience that we have a little bit. You need not really the experience that we have, just letting everybody know these are upper belts. They're also, don't be upset because they're volunteering.
Yeah,
It's for a fundraiser. Don't be like,
y'all.
it's not ADCC over here and
Yeah.
Worlds or anything, so don't freak out. And he's like, and we have a world champ right here. Where'd she go? And everybody's trying, and like she's like, oh, or he says, oh yeah, she's in the restroom. And everybody's like applauding her, and she's not even in the room. And then she finally walks in. There she is, or he says something like that, and everybody claps again. It was really funny. So, but yeah, that was really funny.
It was funny.
But-
Yeah, I was just can I say something on that note that I was telling you after we went to Vasquez too? I was telling Wesley, I mean, I think you've probably experienced this too, that it's weird when you do well or you win a big tournament or whatever. I feel like people will go like that and everybody's like gassing you up and being like, oh, you're so good. And it's so it's so nice and the support is really sweet and everybody's so kind and that's great and everything, but it's always so interesting to me that I never, when anybody's like that with me, I definitely don't ever feel like deserving of that. I never feel like I'm going out, like my matches were hard, even the ones against people a lot smaller than me in the open division, like they were tiny and so their guards were good and it was really, I mean, they were tough matches for me. So it's just interesting how people can, if you do well in something, people can put you on this pedestal, but knowing inside that I'm like, man, it's not like I'm going out there in all these matches I'm just like
Tyne and Dalpra.
Exactly. Like half the time I'm losing, and then when I'm winning, like they're hard matches. I don't win matches easily, so I don't know. I think it's just interesting to think about, and if you're any one of those people who like really looks up to somebody and is like, wow, they're so good or whatever, we're all just people, and it's great to accomplish something great, but it doesn't put anybody on a pedestal higher than anybody else, I feel like. Okay,
so yeah, what we wanted to kind of jump into is like what y'all think, what y'all do, or maybe you don't know what to do and you're looking for answers on what like a competition day routine is. It's comp day, you've been training for weeks, months, maybe your last minute replacement's only been a couple weeks or whatever the case may be. It's a lot that has built up to this tournament and you're like, what should my comp routine be? Or maybe you've
What's
always
the
had
most
a
effective?
we've always had a comp routine and you don't know if it's working, or what's the most effective, what do the statistics say, yada yada yada. So that's what we're going to jump into for the rest of this episode. So you want to talk about what our comp routines are, or did you have anything else you want to start out with?
No, we can talk about ours. I feel maybe you should go first because I don't feel like I have a super specific set comp routine yet. It's changed, and I'm still trying to figure out what works best for me. But maybe you have a more specific one than I do.
I do feel like my routine already being set from boxing has been beneficial to my success. I won't say beneficial to my success. It's been helpful to my success
That makes
of
sense.
that I've had since competing
Because
in
you would
jiu-jitsu.
also get really nervous
When?
before boxing matches.
No, it's not sure.
Yes, it is.
No, I will
I
tell you.
remember you getting nervous.
Let me explain to you what actually would happen.
Okay,
So I would be way more nervous the week out from a
that
fight.
makes sense. Yes.
I wouldn't, the day that, like the morning of, I would be nervous, but like it's such a drawn out process in boxing. You know, I feel like it doesn't necessarily have to be a drawn out process in jiu-jitsu. I mean, as far as competition day goes, you know, they want you to be like an hour early. You can literally show up, weigh in, and then like be fighting in the next 30 minutes.
Yeah.
If you want to, you could just go out there, bam, bam, and go.
Yeah.
In boxing, you got to get there early in the morning, wait in a giant line. You got to get there like 7 o'clock in the morning, weigh in with all the people, you know, especially if it's a big, big tournament. And then you wait the day. Sometimes if it's far away from your house, you're at the venue for a lot of time of the day. And so then eventually you get your hands wrapped. It's more waiting, watching fights. So about the time I'm getting my hands wrapped, all the nerves have gone. Like I'm pretty calm at this
and then
point.
you would lock in.
Yeah, I was at this point I was fine. Once I stepped in the ring, I was fine. It was all I wasn't nervous anymore. Everything gets tuned out behind you. You don't hear hardly anybody but your coach, you know. But yeah, so before the fights, I would get nervous. I would get really anxious,
That makes
especially early on. But I think what caught the big reason for my nerves back then was I was always the biggest thing I was afraid of was getting knocked out and being embarrassed. More than anything, it wasn't losing. It wasn't.
I mean, that still exists in jiu-jitsu. You can get choked out.
Yeah,
and
but
be
I don't know.
embarrassed.
Since day one, since the very first tournament, I was like, I got nothing to worry about. I'm not getting punched in the face. It's never been as hard as boxing for me, and so that's why I don't know. I think that's a big part of the reason why I haven't really gotten nervous in competing in jiu-jitsu. You know, so I'm not saying I don't feel something, but it's not like the nerves I felt for boxing. At least leading up, like I said, that kind of mostly went away by the time my hands were getting wrapped.
Yeah.
But beforehand, I would like, especially the morning of, you could almost say, and when I start locking in for jiu-jitsu too, I'm not the same old like play and have fun. Like I am way more serious. You can tell, like I'm more irritable. So like I don't like things going awry and stuff like that. I would say that's kind of what it's funny what the statistics say, because I'm very much like that. Like when the day I'm gonna fight, I don't like chaos. I don't like things not going the way I usually have them go. So if I can't find my mouth guard, that freaking throws me off. If I can't find my finger tape, or I'm losing something in my bag, or maybe like at Pans.
Can I tell that? Yeah, that story about Pans.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember even what it was. I just remember it.
Well,
my ID, right? That's what I'm talking about.
Your ID.
Yes. So what happened
that
was,
happened too. That I'm not talking about the.
Can I say that? I'm going to say that story
though.
first. So at Pans, and that's a whole nother thing too, which I know what she's going to talk about which throws off my routine. I have a routine, and I like if it gets thrown off, it messes up my focus. Well, at Pans, freaking like a crazy mess. I go down to get my my stamp. You know, so I have my ID. I find my ID. I'm like, what the heck? It's expired. And then I look at my phone. I can't find. I'm like, I could have sworn that I paid for it. Like, how did this expire? And then I'm like, in my mind, I'm thinking, I don't even know how I could have signed up if it was going to expire, because I know they don't let that happen. You can't do that. But I couldn't find it, so I'm kind of like.
You were like
freaking out,
irrationally scared, because that was my first thought. Is they
I would
won't
say
even.
I was scared.
You were irrationally concerned.
Yes.
and freaked out about it because that was my first thing is like they won't let you if the event is after the date that your IBJJF membership expires, it won't let you sign up. It'll say, "Hey, you've got to update your membership to sign up for this event." So I knew yours was fine, but you probably did not have the hard copy card from when it had been renewed. So I'm like, "You have it. You just need to log in on the website." But he was he was he was freaking out.
But see, the reason being too is like if I'm very focused on my fight, so
Yeah.
I'm not nervous about anything or like, or you know, I don't feel like I'm any more than what you should naturally be. You know, like if you have zero anxiety or like you have nothing at all and you feel like you're about to go to an open mat, then something's wrong. So if you have, I don't count those as like being really really nervous. You're just kind of locked in, you know, and so because I'm so focused, I'm not focused on common sense things to be honest, you know, like so I'm not thinking about like whatever. So yeah, that threw my routine off, and then another thing that was going on with that whole experience is I had to tape my hand. My hand was super jacked up from my thumb.
Oh, yeah, I
And
forgot about
so
your
I had to wrap
thumb.
my hand 2 different times because I had nerve damage in my hand from when my thumb got ripped backwards and it tore ligaments in my thumb. So 4 days before Pans, I ripped the ligaments in my thumb, like tore them. And luckily, if it was on the other side, I would have had to get surgery. But I said, screw it, I'm gonna fight in Pans. I paid for it. I waited this long. I'm fighting in it. Wrap my hand, and anytime my hand would get cold at all, it would get numb. My whole thumb right here would just get completely numb, and it felt so weird and would get painful. And it's the first time I wrapped it, it was really cold in there. It started getting really, really numb. So I had to take everything off right before I'm about to fight, rewrap it again, and luckily it wasn't as bad. But that kind of stuff is what really throws me off. So go ahead. I know you want to tell the story about the bath.
Yeah. Well, it was not just the bath, it was also the food. We got in for Pans and it was late.
Oh yeah, that too.
And by the time, so I'm like, let's get to the hotel.
Yeah, the whole
and then we'll-
experience for me at Pans really like.
And you were
was
mad
crap.
about the hotel. He was not happy about any of it. So we
That is the one thing that I feel like for a competitor, and I don't think that because she hasn't maybe been competing as long as I have, doesn't maybe that's why you're not in her. Don't have your
no,
routine
I
yet.
think
No, let me finish. I don't know that she understands maybe she does now. I don't know, but how important it is for someone who takes it so serious to have a really solid routine, consistent.
no, I
So
understand that.
So whenever
but
we where was it? It was at
Florida.
no. When was the first time we went somewhere and didn't have a bath, or the bath wouldn't get
Oh,
hot?
I don't
I
remember.
think that was the first Pans, Blue Belt Pans.
That may
and
be
I
it.
couldn't-
We've talked about it before.
So I normally am comfortably within weight, where all I have to do is take a nice, pretty hot bath, and I can get down like 2 pounds, like no problem. But I need my bath. I got to have something to help me get that just 2 pounds of water weight down. Not a big deal, you know. And I usually even can eat on, you know, just almost normal food, as long as I've prepared, you know, the following 2 or 3 weeks out, you know, properly. And so there was like no bath in the freaking
Yeah, it wasn't just that
hotel.
you didn't like we got there kind of late, and I don't remember why. I don't remember why it took us long to get to the hotel, but we got to the hotel late enough.
It was
And first of
very
all, Wesley did
run-down
not
hotel.
like the hotel at all. He was like, "This hotel sucks." I'm like, "Sorry, you know, it is what it is." And then there was no bath, and so he was freaking out about that. And because it was so late, there were not like a lot of food places nearby. And I'm like, let's just DoorDash something. And he didn't like that idea. And there was nothing that we could DoorDash. And
Those are
it
just
was
one of the
just
things
a chaotic evening.
That's one of the things that can make the competition, my routine, go awry. Like this is my routine is pretty simple. Okay,
Tell us your routine.
my routine is all the way leading up to the fight. You know, I'm within the certain amount of pounds I've always been for years and years and years at this point. Now from all the boxing, cutting weight, and now I there's so much cardio in jiu-jitsu. I sit even lower than I was for boxing, and so leading up to about a couple days before, I know where I'm at on my weight. I know exactly what I need to do. I just needed to eat lightly, stay away from a little bit of salt, and then I make sure the hotel has to have a bath. I need to be able to eat something early enough. My stomach has plenty of time to digest it. So eating late like we did that at Pans is not ideal. That's already starting to throw my routine off. Um, and making sure the bath has hot water, so if it doesn't have hot water, it doesn't do me any good. So then I have to scramble to get like a gym uh, trial pass or something like that for a sauna or something. So it's
Which I did do for you because I'm a supportive and helpful
she
wife,
is,
especially
and
in
I
the
was
middle
being rude and selfish.
of his panic attack. I'm like, chill, it's gonna be fine. But
And
he
I was
was
also
not
hungry.
sure.
I was also hangry.
He was
Been on a
hangry.
plane the whole time. Was dissatisfied with the hotel. It just was
Yeah.
very.
It was a
Yeah.
rough evening. I
So
was
it's
trying
just-
to be supportive, but I was also like, it's not that serious. It's gonna be
My
okay.
routine is not crazy, but it's
Yeah.
just the things I know how I want them to go, and they need to just go the way they go.
Yes,
And
and that was the
everything
thing.
feels
There were
smooth.
a lot of things that were not going your way, and it felt very chaotic, and you did not feel like you were in a good, like, it was not helping your headspace leading into the next day. For sure.
And I would say my weight was not where it normally is, for sure. Like when we did World,
Yeah.
my weight was so perfect. Like it was really, really on point. And then this time it was just a little heavier than I expected to be. And so I was a little more worried about it than I normally am. So I ended up making weight, but
So
yeah,
what's your routine?
that was my routine.
You didn't give a routine.
My routine is make sure take a bath so I sweat
Okay,
out.
take a bath.
Eat food early enough. Okay, so my food has time to digest.
That's the day before the fight. What's your fight day routine?
This is all of it.
Yeah, keep going.
Okay, I'm getting there. So that's the first part, and then second part is wake up and make sure I'm on weight. Eat an early breakfast. I drink my normal amount of coffee that I normally would. I don't like changing that up. And then eat something light. It's not too heavy. About an hour and a half, 2 hours before. And then I have a couple honey packets for my matches. But other than that, I like to sit and watch the matches, and I don't listen to music. I might run through some different videos to study. I'll study some videos sometimes to just refresh my memory on different things. But that's it. I don't have, again, it's not like some special routine. It's just the things that I normally do need to go the way they normally go.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and we'll talk about that in a second, I think, about it doesn't have to be a super specific or formal routine. It just has to be whatever works for you. You know?
And like a lot of people, they want to listen to music. I'm the opposite. I like to have the environment engulf me. I don't want to be suffocated by music or like tune everything out and then have to take these off, and now it's like this extremely loud environment that's very chaotic and nerve-wracking. That's why I don't listen to music. I want to be enveloped in the entire experience,
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, but that's pretty much it. It's nothing crazy, and I usually will I just, like I said, just kind of try to lock in, focus. And that's one thing I definitely do also. I do this leading up to any fight, and in the day of, I run through good scenarios, bad scenarios. What happens if this gets attacked? What happens if I get in a deep situation here? Good situations, bad situations, all the way through. I think it's important to run through all those ideas and thoughts so that you have fresh answers in your head.
Yeah. Fair.
So, anyways, moving on. That's my.
Are you gonna ask me what mine is?
Yours, yeah, of course. I figured you'd go right into it.
I figured you would be like, "What's your pre-fight
Tell me all
routine?"
about yours, Bailey.
I would love to. Thank you for asking me, Wesley. Mine, I don't know that mine is super specific, and it's pretty chill and very different from yours. I think so. Let me go backwards to how I was when I very first started competing, like my very first tournament, and then how things have changed now, and therefore, like, I think that kind of impacts how I am before a tournament. So my very first match ever, I remember I was not nervous at all. It was literally zero nerves. because I just knew I was going to lose. Like I had so little pressure on myself that it just wasn't a big deal. I'm going to go out there, I'm going to do my best, but like I had no expectations for myself. And so it was really easy for me to just get out there and do the thing. It was after I started like winning and having success that I started to get more and more nervous, because now you've won and I don't want to lose. You want to win. And so now I get a lot more nervous than I used to. I'd say, like, as far as day before or anything, there's really nothing there. I want to sleep. I love to sleep. Sleeping's great. I'm usually, I don't love having to make weight for anything. Like, even right now, I normally weigh in like 5 pounds under where I'm at. In fact, I had told Wesley at Master International that I was really hoping and I was glad that I got to fight someone who was in the weight class below me, because I'm actually so close to being in that weight class. Like I could literally just drop a few pounds and be in that weight class. And I've stayed where I'm at because I'm familiar with this weight class. I kind of know what the meta is. I know what the game and the fight's going to be like. But I was really curious to be matched with somebody at that lower weight class to kind of feel it out and see how I felt about it. So all that to say, my weight's always fine. So I'm not worried about that. I want to sleep in the morning. I want to sleep as long as I can. I want to get nice and rested. I wake up, I eat breakfast. Something I've experimented with is not taking anything. I've gone before where I've had a lot of coffee or energy drinks, or I love a caffeine pill on a day that I need to like wake up quickly and I don't want to be like drinking a whole lot of stuff.
Master starter pack.
Exactly.
Caffeine pill.
Caffeine pills
Breakfast.
get me through long days, which a lot of people are like, "Wow!" But it's the same thing as drinking an energy drink. It has the same amount of caffeine in it, but I don't have to drink an entire energy drink. I can just take a pill, and it works quickly and wakes you up. And I used to do things like that. And I've also taken stuff before to like help with my anxiety before, because I was like really worked up and nervous, and I was like, maybe this will help. And something I've started doing since I think Worlds last year is I don't do any caffeine. I don't do basically anything that's gonna like affect my natural state. I don't want anything to be making my heart rate go faster than I want it to go. I don't want anything to like dull any of my senses or anything like that, make me move slower or anything. I just want to be like 100% natural. I feel like that has been working well for me in a competition environment. All the more reason that like I hate fighting late in the day, because then I get sleepy because I'm used to having caffeine. Anyways, wake up, eat breakfast. Try not to do caffeine or anything like that. I try to just be kind of chill and not overthink anything until it's time to get ready to go warm up. If I'm lucky, I have, Wesley there to help, get on the warm up mats with me and move around a little bit. I didn't have anybody at Master International, which was weird and sad. So I just did a lot of stretching. I love stretching. I feel like that gives me an opportunity to like breathe and calm down and get in a good mindset. I did some like burpees to just kind of get my heart rate.
Really?
I did. I know. I had a moment because I was doing the whole like boop, 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 jumping back and forth. And I was like, this hurts my calves. Like,
Oh my gosh.
and it's
So
not
let's do
warming
burpees.
me up. So I did like 10 burpees and I was breathing and I was sweating a little. And I was like, I feel pretty warmed up. and that was it.
That's funny.
Sometimes I listen to music. I didn't at Master International. If I do, it's usually worship music. That's one thing I'm always curious about is what lots of people wear headphones. I want to know what people are listening to. Like, are they listening to something that like pumps them up? Are they listening to something chill? Like, what are people listening to in their headphones?
I feel like most people that I know and have talked to, they're usually listening to something that's like some type of upbeat energy that like
that's what I would
fires
think.
them up,
I'm
get their
the
energy
opposite.
high.
I'm listening to like worship music, and honestly, a lot of it, I think for me is like nerves and trying to recenter my mindset on what's important and why I do this. And at the end of the day, like everything that I do, I want to glorify God in what I'm doing. So when I get nervous about like, oh, how am I going to do whatever, I have found that that helps me to like refocus and recenter on what's really important. And it's not necessarily what happens out there right now. Like that's part of it. And I'm going to do my best to the glory of God. But that's not what's important, you know? And that's not where I find my value or my worth, is what happens on that mat right now. And so when I'm listening to music, that's usually what I'm listening to. Master International, I didn't, primarily because I lost my AirPods before we left,
No.
but there's that. Yeah, and I try to just stay focused but calm. And sometimes, particularly if I'm coming off of, like at Master International, I was coming off a loss where I was really frustrated. I just kept reminding myself of one thing. In this case, it was don't freak out. It's like, don't panic and do anything stupid. Like, just stay in it, and don't panic. And so I was trying to just remind myself of that. And that's pretty much it. I try not to overthink it and stay in a good zone of like, I'm nervous and I'm ready. I'm not questioning myself. Try not to question myself, but also try not to be overly confident either and think I've got this, whatever. I'm just going to go out there and do the best that I can. And that's kind of my vibe.
Yeah.
It's chill.
Yeah, it's a good one. I think the only thing that two things you said that I forgot, I left out. I want to make sure I get good night's rest. That is one thing that's super important. I've had in the past, just in normal life, not for competing or anything, had trouble sleeping. So I have sleep medication that actually comes in super handy if I need to go to sleep. So in the past, whenever I was in boxing, it would be hard to sleep, especially early on when I first started competing.
I kept trying to say this earlier, that I said you used to get really nervous. And as you were talking, I remembered that that's true. It was like the days leading up to it that you were so nervous that you like couldn't sleep. And I don't know, just that gnawing anxiety that just sat with you constantly. And then you would always say then it would go away right before you were fine. But it was the days leading up to it that you were like, oh, it's so frustrating because I just got like this gnawing in my stomach that won't go away for the days leading up to it.
Yep. So luckily I have the pills. So if I always usually take one, and get plenty of rest the night before competition. Wake up. I just try to do everything in a slow manner, Like I don't want to feel rushed. I think that's the biggest thing. Not feeling rushed. Rushed, that throws me out, that messes me up. So, and then the other one was warming up. I like to have a good warm up. I like to get sweating. Like I feel like if I'm not saying dripping sweat, but a little perspiration, you know what I mean?
I actually don't like to, but I feel like it helps a little bit. It's just kind of like shaking off that first roll.
I mean, I learned that from boxing. It's like you've got to get your entire nervous system, your muscles firing. Like you don't want to go out there cold. And
nothing better to do it than burpees.
Yeah, I guess so. We got nobody there. That works.
Nobody there. It's fine. So I was doing some just kind of research on this topic. I was curious about studies on what actually helps performance and what doesn't help performance. One question being, everybody always wants to know if people get nervous, right? I get asked all the time if you get nervous before a fight. And it was interesting that I read some studies that like the goal really is not to eliminate or get rid of your nerves. The goal is to regulate your nerves, right? So there's all these studies that talk about how when an athlete can regulate their mental and emotional state and get into whatever their own optimal zone is, I think that's key, then performance improves. And there's studies that talk about how everybody's optimal zone is different. So for some people, they are going to perform their best when they're a little more chill. Some people are going to perform their best when they're a little, like their nervous system's a little bit more chaotic and all over the place. I'm thinking of the people who are like pounding energy drinks. We saw this at Pans, people pounding a Monster and then walking right out onto the mat. And I looked at Wesley and I was like, I could never, like my heart would be beating out of my chest. I don't think I could do that.
I think that's bad for then.
It probably is, but the point being that it looks different for everybody. So it's interesting and talking about like what our different routines are. And I think a lot of people look at what do other people do? Like, what is this elite athlete doing? Or I'm sure it is a common Google search of like, what's the best thing to do to prepare the day before my fight or the day of my fight or whatever. And I think the key is that just because something is good for one person doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to work for you. You've got to figure out what puts you in the most optimal place for you to perform at your best, not what makes Tynan
Yeah.
perform at his best or what makes you perform at your best.
I feel like a lot of people who listen to loud music and it like bumping and getting energy all high, I feel like that's the most common thing that people see and they try to replicate.
Yeah.
So I think that's what I've learned over time is like, I remember wrestling in high school and having friends that were like, and you even see it in jiu-jitsu too, like slapping themselves or like,
Yeah,
ah,
getting amped up.
yeah, and like I feel like that's where mistakes come from. Is like you're too amped and you're gonna end up gassing yourself out in the first
Yes.
minute. Like not everybody has this ability because everyone's wired differently, but I feel like I'm able to turn it off and on. I like to be able to step up and also look at it like this too. I don't want to give any sign of any type of negative energy to my opponent either. It's like also very mental, like boxing and jiu-jitsu, very mental it can be. So when I walk up there, I don't want to look like I had to pump myself up for this fight.
Yeah.
Or, I want to look like I'm locked in, and
Yeah.
nothing's phasing me. This the only thing I'm focused on is the fight. But I feel like I can go from some people, they're like, if they're chill, like they're gonna start the match and be chill. Maybe their opponents gets ahead of them because they're at a faster pace and you fell behind. I feel like sometimes kids can be like that where they start out really slow and maybe they haven't found the routine yet that works well for them. But I feel like I do a decent job. Like second the match starts, I can go from 0 to 100, like if I need to.
Real quick.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. There's this sports psychologist, Yuri Hannon. I think I'm saying that right. He developed this concept of like the individual zones of optimal functioning. And that's basically the whole concept is like it looks a little bit different for everybody. Everybody has their own individual zone where they're going to perform at their best. And that's talking about like your anxiety levels, right?
Yeah.
And so if they're too low, then you're going to be like passive or hesitant or like super low urgency and not like doing what you need to do quickly. But then if you're too high, you're emotional and you're frantic. And I feel like that's where people make mistakes because they're worked up, and you just go and you literally just leave all of your technique and whatever behind because you're just so worked up. But you've got to find that optimal zone where you're super focused and you're like aggressive, but you're still composed and that you can perform really well. And again, that's going to look different for everybody.
Yeah, and that's part of competing in the beginning. Like everything is so new to you. You're trying to figure out what style of jiu-jitsu you have. Or not really in the beginning, you don't even think about style. You're just like, especially if you're from a gym that teaches step-by-step techniques, it's like, I got to get to this technique. I got to get to this thing. Or I'm not going to win the match. I got to do this. So you're not even like, you don't even know what kind of routine to have before the match. Like all you can think about is the match. You know what I mean? So, but I think the key is like trying to develop over time a good routine. Take the things that you didn't like out, add in the things you did like, and sometimes people will have some tips that may help you that you throw in there. So like one thing that it's not really a part of my routine, it's kind of is I make sure I have those honey packets, or some type of fast acting carbs that I can take in the middle of the match. And that happened because I was at Worlds and a friend of mine handed me one right after one of my matches, and I felt like it really did a good job of
like
giving
giving you that burst of energy you needed to get through. In terms of like figuring out what your optimal zone is, like a great way to do that is your pre-performance routine. Like what are you doing to get yourself into that optimal flow state before? And like we said, it's going to look different for everybody, but the goal there is that there are studies that talk about this, how having a pre-performance routine, whatever that looks like, tends to improve your performance and your consistency across your performances because essentially it reduces the noise and the chaos of everything else going around you, and it gives you the focus that you need to go out and perform as consistently as possible. It's really interesting to thinking about like how things have changed, like how I've changed over the years, and talking about like where your best level of anxiety is. I think it's impacted my routine, because earlier on when I would compete, again, sometimes I'm like taking caffeine. I was trying to like, I need to be amped up. I need to feel like ready to act fast and whatever. But what that was actually doing is, number one, I genuinely felt like my heart rate is moving faster. So I'm like, it's gassing me out a little bit faster. And I think it was really lending to like, what I like to call competition brain, of just when your anxiety is so high and you are operating at this high paced level that you forget all your technique, you make dumb mistakes. And sometimes too, I was just moving so fast. I was trying as fast as, you can in a heavyweight division, right? But for me, was moving at such a high pace and trying to, get to a submission so quickly that I was wearing myself out. And so for me, I had to learn that that is not what's optimal for me. I need to calm myself down. Just, FYI for the record, I deal with, personally, I take medication for anxiety and depression because anxious is my normal state, and my medication brings me back to a normal place.
Normal.
I remember telling you when you were like, I can't sleep, whatever, before your boxing matches, and you were like, I've got this pain in my stomach and I can't sleep, and it's just like I can't stop thinking about it. And I remember right before I like started, before I got on my medication for anxiety, I told Wesley, I'm like, man, how you felt in those days, that was my normal. I felt like that every day of my life for no reason. It was like I just couldn't get past it. So all that to say that too anxious and high strung, like that's what I naturally go to. So my routines before have to be to chill myself out. Like I don't need to be amping myself up. I don't need to be taking caffeine and all these things to be like, oh, I'm ready. I need to chill so that I can think clearly. I need to I'm constantly reminding myself during matches, like, okay, slow down, think clearly, think strategically, and trying not to let the anxiety or whatever just completely take over. I need to be able to slow down and think clearly. And so my routines and all that are geared towards calming me down. Whereas I think a lot of people, it's the opposite. They're geared towards amping them up because that's how they operate better,
Yeah, well, also I think that people haven't figured out their optimal way too. I think that's why so many people do it that way,
Yeah,
because they think that's the right way to do it. Like
exactly.
I got to get amped up if I'm going to go out there, but I think that's actually going to be, it can hurt you. I think actually more people would probably benefit from not amping themselves up than who are. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe.
Because I think that's just the norm. That's what people see, and they're like, oh, well, they're amped up. But if you go look, like for instance, go look, Tynan just fought. There was like. He's so chill, and that's kind of how before I ever even started watching him fight, that's kind of how I want to be in that state. He just like, all these other guys are like running up to the refs, like shaking everybody's hands really fast while they fight.
Because they're skitzing off all the caffeine they have.
He just walks right up to the ref, shakes their hands, and just it's calm, ready to fight. But then when he says go, it's 100 miles an hour. You know what I mean? Finishes the guy in 50 seconds. So.
It's that focused energy and not just like chaotic energy. I think at the end of the day, it's finding out what works for you and not necessarily copying somebody else. But I think even knowing that is a little freeing. It's a little freeing to be like, this works for me and that's okay. And it's okay to experiment. Like I said, I've been experimenting with what works for me and what doesn't. I've been experimenting with, do I like listening to music before? Sometimes if I don't have music, I'm even just like thinking through lyrics, like thinking through stuff in my head, even if I'm not listening to it, because the goal is to reorient my brain, about what's important and not freak myself out. But talking about like examples of things that you can do is like what your nighttime routine is the day before. What are you doing sleep wise? what about in the morning when you wake up and, breakfast that you're eating, that kind of
I
thing?
think there's some things that should be non-negotiables. That there's things that can be different for everybody, but there's some things everybody should do. I think it's important to say. So I think everybody should get a good night's rest. That should
I
be no.
agree.
Everybody should get good. All the studies show that rest is the most important factor to your performance.
Hmm.
Literally the most important factor. And they did. I read a book a while back. I don't read a lot of books, so
What book was this? Was it?
it was like a performance
I
book.
don't read a lot of books
I
either,
know,
if
I
that
know.
helps.
But it was all on performance, and it did a study on Olympic athletes, and it said they did. I mean, think about it. You're an Olympic, a lot of the Olympic athletes before they go to the Olympics, they're already traveling the world doing, like boxing, for instance.
Yeah.
All the Olympic prospects are traveling the world fighting other, the German team, the Ukrainian team, Russian
Yeah.
team all the time. So you think about these, they're like the night before they're about to fight, how hard is it to sleep? So,
Hmm.
but it said that is the most important factor, getting sleep. Next most important factor is a proper meal with the proper type of carbs and
Hmm.
energy that your body needs at the right time, before, not like right before you're about to fight
Yeah.
and not too early. And it says to also, but like also don't change up
Yeah.
your routines. Like if you drink coffee normally on before you go train, like if you're gonna go for a morning session, you drink coffee, then you should still probably drink coffee. If
Hmm.
if you never drink coffee, don't change it up and decide you're gonna drink coffee to give yourself caffeine. You're gonna jack your stomach up.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are some things that I would say like those are non-negotiables for any athlete. You should be getting the amount of rest you need.
Yeah.
Day before, day after, you should be eating what you need. You need to make sure you have electrolytes in your system, water in your system. If you can, assuming if you're cutting weight or not. Um, and those right there, I would say those are the most non-negotiable. One other thing I think that is should be non-negotiable is you need to have some kind of warm up,
Mm.
something that's getting your body ready for the toll you're about to put on it. Your
Yeah.
body's about to go from 0 to 100, and you're going to be clenching 10 times harder. You're going to go out there and fight one round, and it's going to feel, especially if you're new to competing, it's going to feel like at the gym when you did 8 rounds
Yeah.
because your adrenaline's going so high and you're clenching so hard. You're going to be sore the next day after one fight,
Yeah.
or more sore than you normally would be, is my point.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's funny. I agree with you. I mean, I don't, like I said, I don't love warming up. I feel like I don't want to be super tired, but I also know, like, there was a time when I didn't warm up at all, and I think maybe one of the first times we did is at Master Worlds last year. And I told you after, I'm like, man, I felt good. Like, that's the best I've ever. And I think that was the first time I didn't have caffeine before. And I went and fought those matches. And afterwards, I told you, I was like, man, I feel the best after this, after these fights, than I ever have before after competing. I'm usually dead tired and my body hurts and I feel all these ways. And like, I feel the best now that I ever have. And so that's why I've kept implementing the things that worked for me, that made me feel good after.
that is one thing that I'll say for me that I've added to jiu-jitsu, because not every tournament you go to has a place to warm up.
Hmm.
But even like in boxing, we try to warm up pretty well before you fight. And in boxing, my style, my first round was, I almost lost every first round, because it wasn't because they beat me up or anything.
Hmm.
It's usually just because they worked a little bit more than me, because my first round was always my fill out round. I was
Yeah.
always, and I never had a problem with losing the first round. It wasn't a big deal.
Yeah.
Because it was my calculation round.
Yeah.
I'm calculating the distance, my jab, what this person's style like. Are they going to come forward? Are they going to box on the outside? What's their dominant hand? What do they like to throw?
Yeah.
But then when I came out my second fight, I wouldn't call it warmed up, but I kind of had calculated everything. But
Yeah.
point being, I was kind of more warmed up as well, So, but before boxing, we were always super warmed up. Try to always get a sweat going. We hit the pads before we went out and fought. So in jiu-jitsu, I didn't really have that. You don't have a way to warm up with somebody unless there's a mat and there's somebody there with you.
Mhm.
But you're at World League in a Naga, it's just like get the bullpen, go fight, and that's really bad. It's pretty much up to you to get warmed up,
Yeah.
on your own, because there's no mat to roll with anybody or anything. But that's what's nice about the majors is you can warm up with somebody, and that is something I added later in jiu-jitsu because I didn't really think of it as like, I just kind of like, well, is this kind of what we're
Didn't
in?
think of it as a thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just where we are. We can't really warm up. But if you can warm up in any way, I especially like to warm up in ways that are conducive to with a match, right? So
Right.
like get my hands used to gripping, my forearms, my legs, practicing the motions, and get a sweat going that way. And I feel like I feel way better.
Yeah.
So that's a big part of my routine
I
now,
prefer to
especially
do
for
it that way
majors.
too. But, if not, then, burpees.
You just, I mean, the body.
You do whatever
Honestly,
you
the
can,
body doesn't know what you're doing to warm it
Yeah.
up, So at the end of the day, as long as you're doing something, that's my whole take on CLA. You can use CLA to warm kids up instead of doing,
Mm-hmm.
bear crawls and all that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So you can design a game for it,
Yeah, for sure.
but yeah.
The one other thing that I was going to say, because I was just talking about like examples of things that you can do. One thing that people do is visualization. Read some stuff on that as well. And the key being that it's not like, oh, I visualize myself on the podium with getting my gold medal, but visualizing the practical things that you're doing, visualizing getting your first grips, visualizing, problem solving certain scenarios that you end up in. That studies show is actually very effective for
Well, that's
performance.
what I talked about already.
And that's what I was saying, that I was curious if you would say like, yeah, I agree. That's what I was saying was visualization. It's like you said, you like to sit there and run through your mind different scenarios and picture it. And that can also be super effective.
Yeah, I think
you can try
like
to
I
add
was
to your
saying,
routine for sure.
I think it's extremely important not only to visualize the good things, but visualize the bad things because you're kind of inwardly preparing for all the scenarios. If you practice one game plan your entire training camp or whatever leading up to anything, and that's all you ever think about and pay attention to, and then what happens if it goes sideways for a second? Well, you don't know how to react. It's not even in your head, So, man, and that's part of what would be keeping me up in boxing when I just needed to be going to sleep, but I would like be running through all the scenarios in my head,
Yeah.
What happens if they drop me and I get back up? How am I going to react? What happens if they do this? What happens if they do that? What about how am I going to approach this person if they're a boxer, boxing on the outside? If they're a brawler, they want to fight on the inside,
Yeah.
And I run through all the scenarios, like all the different scenarios. A body shot, I hit him with a body shot, whatever, I think it's super important to do that. So if you're new to competing, without it like taking over and like making you even more nervous, like visualization I think is pretty important.
Yeah, that's something, and I took it beyond visualization. I took it as more of like a prep thing. But I remember the day before I fight, I don't usually train the day before a tournament. Try to just kind of rest my body. But
that's another part of the routine.
Again, yeah, that's true.
You didn't really
part
talk
of the
about,
routine.
and you don't really have that. Sometimes, like when you're going to majors, you don't get that opportunity. I mean, like to train a couple days before.
Yeah.
You may be like 4 days out from
Yeah.
training or from training.
But yeah,
So-
I don't usually train the day before. But what I have done, I haven't done this in a while actually, but I think I can do it in my head more now. But especially like at white belt, I would go through and with a partner, I would have you drill things with me, and I would go to every single position. And it was like, if I get to close guard, what are all the sweeps? And I would just like fit into everything. So that I felt confident about the grips that I needed and things like that. And I would just run through like everything I know. I equated it to like studying for a test. Like you have a study guide and you're just like going through and making sure you remember all of these things. I did the same thing positionally to say, okay, if I get to any of these spots, what do I know how to do from here? And I would kind of study it right before just so that I felt as prepared as possible. Because before I started doing that, I would find myself getting into a position and I was like, crap, I remember this thing, but I couldn't remember like what grip do I need or whatever. And so that helped me prepare a lot more. I don't feel like I have to do it as much now because there are answers that I have for different, I have more answers for different things. But especially early on, I was nervous that I was going to get to a spot and be like, I know I've learned this, but I don't remember it, so.
Yep, I would have to agree with all that. So
Yeah, I think that's all for today. We're excited. We have a couple of guests we're talking to and getting some stuff scheduled on the calendar that will be very interesting and fun. But yeah.
Yeah, stay tuned, guys. So hopefully y'all found this insightful. Let us know, what is y'all's routine? Do y'all
I'm
have?
dying to know. And what are you listening to in your headphones?
Yeah, throw it on the comments. I'm curious. Do you listen to anything?
I need
Anything
to
that you
know.
definitely don't do, or what is like you have to do it no matter what? You have to lock in with this certain thing. What is it? Tell
Yes.
us what it is. I'm super curious.
We want to know. And in the meantime, please, as always, if you could subscribe to our channel on YouTube at Wesley Weighs In, follow us wherever you listen to our podcast. Give us a follow on Instagram at Wesley
Hit
Weighs
that button.
In
Lock in.
and TikTok at Wesley Weighs In. I was like, what is, I
All
almost
those
said
things.
LinkedIn. We're
All
not on
the
LinkedIn.
All the things. All right. Go.
Yes. Go support. We appreciate it. And if you have any thoughts or topic ideas or anything that you want to talk about or fun stories, we love to hear them.
Yeah,
Send them on
let
over.
us know. All right, guys. I'm Wesley,
I am Bailey.
and this is the Wesley Weighs In podcast. Later, y'all.